Welcome to my Burning Crusade pre-patch leveling guide for both factions. In this video I'll share many different tips and tricks, items we can buy to instantly complete quests, and my route from 1 to 60. There will most likely be a lot of competition in the Draenei and Blood Elf starting area. If so, then you could always be summoned to another location, such as Elven Forest or Durotar for Horde, or find a mage who can portal you to a main city, and from the main city you run to the starting area. I use explosive rockets in between level 1 to 10. These deals a high amount of damage and it's being AoE, so you can just pull many enemies, use it, and level up a lot quicker. There are many useful weapon enchants, a cheap solution being the Iron Counterweight, useful for paladins and melee DPS, at least in between level 1 to 10, where 20 haste rating is almost equal to 40% attack speed. Another solution being Fiery Weapon, a high chance to proc 40 fire damage, not just great in between level 1 to 10, but amazing all the way up to around level 30. Else, you could be using a way more expensive enchant, Crusader that procs 100 strength for 15 seconds, and when it procs, it heals you from 75 and all the way up to 125. It is of course not a bad enchant at low level, but because the proc chance isn't too high, and we will constantly be swapping weapons, then I won't be using Crusader myself, but I will start using this above level 30, where a chance to proc 100 strength is way better than proccing 40 fire damage with Fiery or having 20 haste from Iron Counterweight. Those of you with a lot of gold could be buying these head and leg enchants that increases your haste by an additional 10, amazing at low level as well. Beside weapon enchants, then you should be buying yourself different consumables. The first being the Frog Leg Stew, usable at level 1 and healing for the same amount as level 25 food. In other words, at lower levels you will be getting back to full health in just a couple of seconds. Don't forget to buy oils, as you can apply these to your weapons to increase your spell damage or your mana regeneration. I will be using quite a few swiftness potions, at least until level 30, where I unlock my mount. And of course a pair of boots with minor speed increase to be running around a bit quicker. I've bought quite a few items with spirit. These I'll be swapping to when I'm out of combat, so I can regen a bit of health and mana without having to sit down. Then I'll be swapping back to my DPS set, such as items with agility and strength, or whatever stat you prefer for your character. In a moment I'll talk about my 1 to 60 route, but first I would like to highlight two more tricks. Try to pull many creatures when you're about to level up, the reason being that you would like to spend as much mana as possible, so when you level up you will be brought back to 100% health and mana. This is just to increase your leveling speed a bit further. In Stormwind City and Orgrimmar, we can get the Dragon Slayer buff that lasts for 2 hours and improving our character's performance by a high amount. In this case, I'm using no weapons, but still two-shotting most of these enemies, simply because of the buff. But be aware, you can't just go to Stormwind City or Orgrimmar and expect to get this buff. There is a cooldown, but luckily there's a few things we can do. You can join a world chat to see when people plan to hand it in, and you can get an add-on called Nova World Buffs to track the cooldown. Alright, moving on to my 1 to 60 journey. In the beginning I will obviously be staying in a starting area, but because I've prepared items with enchants, gold, bags and so, well then I will immediately be moving to a nearby mailbox. As Draenei you can move to a Sewer Watch, and as Blood Elf, Falcon Wing Square. The moment you have picked up these things, you either start running back or you use your Hearthstone. I would recommend you to stay in the first zone up to around level 11, and as Alliance we could then swap to Bloodmist Isle, a Draenei zone, and Horde Ghostlands, which is a Blood Elf zone. Not only are you gaining a lot of experience and can stay there all the way up to 20 without constantly having to swap zones, but most of these quests are rewarding you with green upgrades. This won't be the same case with classic zones. Nonetheless, the journey is about having fun, so if there's a zone you really like, well, stay there instead of optimizing every single bit. My own plan is to be efficient, to make sure I can actually make it to 60 before the opening of the Dark Portal. Therefore, I'll be using the best specialization for solo leveling, and in case you're playing a Draenei Shaman, well then I would recommend you to level as enhancement. And when I'm leveling a Paladin, I prefer to do it as retribution. At least this is how I choose each individual talent as I'm leveling up. Back to the leveling journey. So up to 20 you stay in either Bloodmist Isle or Ghostlands, it of course depends on your faction. When I'm questing here, I'll be using a leveling guide, and the one I'm using right here will be left in the description. It is a free version that works from level 1 and all the way up to 30. There's an arrow guiding you in the direction you gotta head to, steps indicating what you gotta do next, quest text has been shortened and only explaining the necessary thing to do. The different steps will be marked on your map and indicating what you gotta do. And yes, it is working for both factions and all classes in the game. If you end up enjoying the add-on, well, then there's a paid version that works all the way up to level 70, including reputation farms and an easy to follow 60 to 70 dungeon leveling guide. You will automatically be granted a discount by using the link below the video, and this helps me as a content creator so I can spend more time on new guides. Alright, so the moment you reach level 20, you will be done with Bloodmist Isle and Ghostlands, and now it's time for us to swap to another zone. As Horde, you could be using these 4 zones in between level 20 to 25. Let me try to be a bit more specific by showing you the full version of Rested Experience and where it recommends both factions to hit in between level 20 to 60. This is of course as a Horde player. Those of you playing Draenei should immediately head to Darkshore. The other races should instead be questing in Red Ridge Mountains and the beginning of Duskwood until you reach level 23. At level 23 we swap to Wetlands, and this is no matter your race. From now on we follow the exact same path all the way up to level 60. Beside questing, then I will once in a while be doing a dungeon. Summoning stones are finally working, and the quest rewards has been updated, and you're granted more experience from the different quests. Not to mention dungeon loot being improved. Some of the items, at least lower level items that used to be white or green quality, has for example been updated to rare quality, so it is going to be more lucrative to do dungeons. My own plan is to be questing whenever there's going to be a guaranteed reward through a quest, or if I'm questing in a zone that I dislike. In a moment I will show you many different quests we can instantly complete by buying different materials on the auction house. But first I gotta highlight 3 more things that will have an impact on your leveling speed. The first being your weapon skills, or well, your weapons. Stick to the same weapon type when you're leveling up, so whenever you equip a new upgrade, you can use it immediately and hit the enemies. If you constantly swap between different weapon types, well, then you will end up spending a lot of time leveling up the skills before you can hit the different enemies. Another thing that will have an impact on your leveling speed is professions, in a negative way, as you will be spending a lot of time leveling up those instead of working on your character's progression towards level 60. That being said, gather professions are amazing for gold making during the pre-patch. And whenever you gotta go offline for more than 6 hours, then I would recommend you to spend time and go to an inn so you start gaining that rested experience for twice as much experience from kills. Finally, it's time for me to cover the quest we can complete instantly by buying materials on the auction house. But for the sake of this video, then it's going to be the quest both factions can do. If you wish to see Horde and Alliance specific quest, well then you could watch my Paladin and Shaman leveling guide. Both of these can be found in the description. The first item you gotta buy is 10 turtle meat and a soothing spice purchasable from a trade supplier. The minimum level requirement is 28 and you hand it in Hillspread Foothills. Your faction determines the location. I moved to Stranglethorn at level 30. At the northern part of the zone, we can pick up the Green Hills of Stranglethorn. The moment you pick up this, many other quests are being unlocked. Chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4. You will get these chapters by handing in the different Stranglethorn pages, and the total amount of experience is almost 11,000. I moved to Badlands at level 35, as we have got the possibility to complete many different quests. For example, the first, where we gotta provide 4 buzzard wings. Those you can purchase on the auction house, and they are so cheap. At the same NPC, we can pick up pearl diving, where you gotta provide 9 blue pearls. These are a bit more expensive, but still a great way to be getting an experience boost. Next, you move more to the west. Here there will be a gnome you can interact with, and yes, it is possible as both factions. We gotta hand in a frost oil, an item crafted as an alchemist, but of course purchasable on the auction house. The follow-up tells you to provide a material crafted by engineers, and the moment you have handed in both of these, that will unlock a new quest at the back from the gnome over here. This time we gotta provide 2 different potions, a lesser invisibility potion and a healing potion, both crafted as an alchemist. Like it wasn't enough, there's yet another follow-up, and this time we gotta provide a pair of braces, crafted by blacksmithers, and they're not too expensive as well. You can head to Gadgetsan at level 40 in the zone to Naris. Here we gotta provide 5 of these waters. Don't forget to buy a mithril casing as well. You won't need it yet, but at level 48 that will be an important quest. You pick up the first part here in Ungoro, and then you gotta move to a nearby cave. In the cave you gotta interact with this NPC, and then there will be a follow-up where you gotta provide a mithril casing that you just bought on the auction house. This allows you to get yet another follow-up where you gotta escort the NPC back to the dwarf, and the moment this has been done, you have completed a total of 3 quests. While you're at this area, then you should be heading a bit more to the north, or well, up to the camp over here. Once again, there will be yet another quest we can do, and it is possible to be done at level 48. What you need to provide is 4 different crystals and a total of 7 of each. Yet another thing we can do at level 48 is to buy 20 Ungora soil. This we hand in at 2 different locations. Ford will need to head to Thunderbluff and first interact with this tauren in the tent. Then you move outside the tent where you hand in these materials to complete the quest. Alliance will instead need to move to Darnassus, head to this building and accept the first quest. He is telling you to find yet another NPC which can be found on the ground. You can just jump the exact same way as I do. Here you hand in 20 Ungora soil. One of the next quests will be a bit expensive. Not the green item here, but the rare version way more expensive. You hand those in Blasted Lands, and I usually do this at level 50, but if you're low on gold, then you should definitely not be buying the rare item. Instead you buy the green and hand it in and start questing in the zone. Some of the quests you could be doing can actually be done instantly, and this is at the northern part of Blasted Lands. You either farm the nearby creatures and loot their materials, or you buy them on the auction house, but they are rather expensive. You could in fact be doing all these quests at 45, but I do usually keep them for later on, as I believe there's many amazing questing areas at 45, such as the southern part of Stranglethorn or Tenaris. Another thing I do at level 50 is to hand in cloth in the different main cities. There will be 5 locations for Horde and 5 locations for Alliance. Now you might be curious, how can there be 5 when there's only 4 main cities? Well, in Okuma you can hand in cloth for reputation with trolls and orcs, and in Ironforge, reputation with gnomes and dwarves. Don't forget we can buy the level 54 class books and hand them in the dungeon diamol. So if you're planning to do those dungeons anytime soon, well, then you could not only be getting yourself a bit of experience, but also a trinket you can use while leveling up. You can get yourself a huge chunk of experience at level 55 or above. Head to Light Soap in Eastern Plaguelands, where there will be so many quests we can hand in. The materials are honestly not too expensive, but there's one thing to be aware of. These quests could be kept for level 60, so when the Dark Portal opens you can hand them in to quickly get to level 61. No matter what you decide to do, then the materials for the Eastern Plaguelands quest will be left in the description, so you can buy them and figure out what will be the best plan for you. Else you might find inspiration on my channel, and soon I'll be publishing many more useful Burning Crusade guides you definitely don't want to miss, so make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to get notified. Those videos will be about leveling from 60 to 70, tips and tricks, gold making, and things we can do at max level in the Burning Crusade. As always, thank you so much for watching, and have an amazing day. Peace.